Okay, this is the first day, the first shot of first video of my channel. Okay, first of all, this is my introduction. This channel is called Let Me Cook Your Recipe. So the first menu that I'm going to try is called Roti Canai. Okay, what is Roti Canai? Roti Canai is if you have been in Malaysia or you are in Malaysia. If you haven't tried Roti Canai, you're not in Malaysia. All right, it is one of the famous meal or dish, in Malaysia, and usually it's eaten at breakfast time. But when I get home, probably once or twice a year, I eat it all the time. About one of the things I miss most about Malaysia. What is it really, Roti Canai? It is basically, this is a bread with crispy outside and fluffy inside. So for today effort, I'm following this recipe. I have tried to cook Roti Canai or to make Roti Canai and to cook Roti Canai only twice before in my entire life. The first one was probably a few years back. I followed a recipe that I got from the internet. At the beginning, it went very well. I make the dough, roll it, and it looks like what it should look like for Roti Canai. And then when I start to fry it, I don't know what happened. Most likely, I didn't cook it right, or I didn't know how to cook it or to fry it, and it became very hard to eat. It looks like a pita bread instead of Roti Canai. The second time I cooked Roti Canai, it was yesterday, because I miss Roti Canai so much. When I got home, I eat Roti Canai nearly every day, believe it or not. And sometimes I'll eat at night time before I go to bed at supper, or like late supper. We're talking about late supper in Malaysia. We're talking about past midnight, all right? Because there is one restaurant probably about 20 minutes away from my village, and they open and until like I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so now this is what I'm trying to achieve with my cooking, following the recipe, and that what it should look like. All right, crispy from the outside, and soft in the inside. Now, the first time I tried it was yesterday. Basic ingredients are very little, which include flour, of course, cup of water, and 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoon of sugar, and a cup of ghee or melted butter. The author of this book give a choice of either to add to this ingredient with 1 tablespoon of sweetened condensed milk, or 2 tablespoons evaporated milk mixed with 1 tablespoon of sugar. So I decided to use the sweetened condensed milk. So I'm going to use the same one today because I have leftover from yesterday. Not talking about yesterday. And in the book here, it didn't mention what type of flour. So I assume it is a wheat flour or tepung gandum in Malaysia. So I use this. This is a plain white flour, gluten free. And after after you mix everything, the water and the oil, or I use ghee, when I make the dough, it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right on my hand, and so I wonder what's wrong with it, and I add more flour to make it, like a dough, the consistencies of the dough that roti canai should be. But it still doesn't feel right. It's so funny. So I check again the recipe in the book and check all the ingredients that I have prepared, and I found out this is not wheat flour. Alright, this is a special plain white flour which contain actually rice, potato, tapioca, maize, and buckwheat. And that's what's wrong with my roti canai yesterday. I didn't take a picture to show you how horrible it looks like at the end, but because I made it, I cooked it anyway. Okay, without further ado, let's start. Today I managed to find the right one. Okay, this is the wheat flour, and yes, 100% wheat flour, not gluten free. So I have to measure it first. It should be, according to the book, it should be 750 grams of each. 750. Now this 750 will, according to the book, it will make about 12 roti canai. One and 50, 100, 150, more or less. Second one. I have to clean that one. Okay, that's the same. Okay, we get. That looks a lot. Okay, this is the flour after I sifted it, and the reason it for any flour for cooking to be sifted, so that it to remove the lump, apa orang kata ketul-ketul in Malay, so it's easier for it to mix with other ingredients. And I need to add like 5 G. It doesn't smell nice, and she suggests to use 5 tablespoon of this. Now I tried it yesterday. I don't really like the smell, but this is what's suggested by the book. I'm going to follow it. The other option is to use melted butter. Unfortunately I don't have enough butter, so we try it again with the ghee, and hopefully I like it later on. So 5 of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 eggs. Two tablespoons of sugar. Okay. And 1 teaspoon of salt. And then some water. The book says about 1/2 cup, or 375 mils of water, right? Now I have to make it like a dough, and I need to knead it. This is what I found it quite therapeutic, you know, the making of the food. That's why I enjoy to bring my friends, you know, to come over and to cook for them. Okay, now it says you have to, don't need the things that I forgot to mention actually, that the condensed milk. Okay, this is what happened, alright? I follow by the rule, the word by word of the suggestion that are written in the book to make the dough, alright? Now, yesterday it was disaster because I used a wrong flour, and today it looks like this. It shouldn't be looking like this, alright? And it should be like a dough. I don't know what I did wrong with it, alright? So I think I need more flour, alright? So I'm gonna add a bit more to see it's going to change. So the book said 750 gram, and I measured that. You could see that yourself. I did that and use, you know, 1.5 cup water or 375 mils of water. It seems the water just too much. That look more like it. It's still a bit gooey, so I'm gonna add a bit more of the flour. And I think that is another 100 gram of flour, I think, by looking at it now. So it shouldn't be sticking, but I think it's get better. So I just need to put another bit of the flour. Yeah, I got it. It should be looking like this. Okay, this is like a perfect, well, nearly perfect dough, you know. But I have to add another probably, you know, nearly 200 gram of flour to the 750 gram that was written in the recipe. All right. So if you have the book and you want to follow the recipe, you have to add more flour to get the correct dough. Okay, once you get that dough, you have to set it aside, and according to the recipe, you have to cover with a damp cloth for about 30 minutes, and then later I show you the next step. Okay, it's ready for the next step. After I put it aside for actually more than half an hour, it has got bigger. So now, according to the book, I have to make 12 small balls from this. While I'll be doing it, you know, I have to coat it with oil. So, because I don't really like the smell of the ghee, I'm going to use just normal vegetable oil. So I'm going to use sunflower oil. the way I found a better way to do it is squeeze it a few times and I have the ball. That is a nice, clean, smooth ball. And then I coat it with the oil. I think, you know, still I feel a bit soft, you know. I think it need to be a bit harder than this, but we'll see. You know, I have to keep aside for another 20 minutes, at least 20 minutes according to the book, or up to 4 hours. I don't have 4 hours to wait, you know, for this for me to cook it. So I just wait for another half an hour. It's ready, and this is the moment to see if it works or not. And now, according to this book, just following the recipe as it is, I have to roll the dough or the ball that I made earlier, and flatten it, you know, to make it as thin as possible. And after that, I fold it, and on each corner, then roll it again. I have to do it 5 times. While I'm doing this, I am heating up the pan, and that will be the moment of truth. Now, traditionally, you know, the way in Malaysia, if you've been to Malaysia, you see in mama restaurant or in a food stall that's selling roti canai, they usually, you know, flatten it with their hand, and they throw it to make it small or to make it thin. And I will try to make it that way after doing it the way the recipe suggests. Now, I still think it's a bit soft, but I think still promising, and hopefully I can get as close as possible, you know, to the real roti canai. Okay. No, roti canai need a lot of oil, you know, oil after oil. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The reason for me to keep fold it and roll it, you know, that will give the fluffiness, you know, fluffiness will give the fluffiness of the bread. Hopefully all the hard work for the last, you know, more than 2 hours, I think, from the preparation and the set time will pay off. Gosh. Okay. So the second one. This is the way that I see it is done in Malaysia. Okay, you flatten it with your hand and put a bit of oil on the top of that. And then what they do, they just like this, something like that. This is the art that you need time to master, that you have to do all over and over again, you know, because if not careful or you do it too much, you break the skin there. All right, but that is thin enough. Nearly there. One more. Okay, and then you stretch it with your hand, and then you fold it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's good enough. Once you've done that, and then you flatten it for the last time. Okay, this will give like a circular or round shape. That is the traditional way to do it. It looks more like it because it's rounded, and I can feel a bit, you know, like soft, and that will give the fluffiness, you know, on the inside, and a lot of oil, you know, from the outside. That will give the crispiness, you know, of the skin. So this is my version. Well, I mean the end version, and this is following the recipe. Now, first try the first version. No. Now, the color looks good. But I think it's too thick to my liking. No one to blame but me. Excellent. There you go. Yeah, but it was good though. Now the problem is because it's too thick, right? Because it's too thick, and I got the right, you know, crispiness from the outside, but the one inside is not cooked well. So the problem with it, I think, as well as it's too thick, as a result the one inside is not really cooked properly, and I think it's lack of salt. So I put 1 teaspoon of salt as suggested, but next time I know I have to put a bit more of salt. Close enough. I feel proud of myself. So that is second one, and by me like throw it and roll it, and this is using the roll. It's like, you know, roll and fold and roll and fold 5 times. Now let me taste this one. Now this one looks more like it, but it's not cooked in the middle, and I don't want to cook a bit more of, you know, a bit longer, because I don't want it to overcook, all right, or burn the skin. And this one look a bit burned. Not too bad. I think it has the same problem as the first one. It's just too thick. And so I have a few more. I have 10 more. It's gonna keep it overnight. And I'll do slightly thinner tomorrow. And then cook it the same way. Oh, not too bad. Woo-ha! Roti canai. The second one actually tastes better, and the inside is cooked. It's soft, but it's cooked better than the first one, and it's just the one outside is slightly burned because I think the pan is just too hot. All right, there you go, and hopefully next time it will be better. Yummy. The other one is lacking is the curry sauce and the sambal. Next time.